Good afternoon, everybody. First off, I want to thank you, Donna, for having us over today. We're super excited for our workshop today. And then, second of all, I want to make sure that hope that all of you guys are safe during this quarantine, and that your family are safe. And so, today we're going to cover navigating your financial GPS. As Donna said, my name is Jordan Mangaliman. I received my bachelor's in finance and marketing at UC Riverside, and I got right into the financial services industry. I'm approaching my 7th year in the financial services industry. And so we built this company of about 175 team members, and our whole focus is helping you on your financial journey and helping you reach your goals. Everything we do is based on financial education. And that's what we believe is a key pillar to building wealth, right? Once you understand how money works and how it can work for you, that's how you really achieve your financial goals. So what are we going to be covering today? We're going to be covering budgeting and saving, debt elimination, protecting your income, investing and in real estate, building different streams of income, tax strategy, which is huge, entity formation, and then lastly, how do we build generational wealth after we've built this financial fortress, right? So as we said, your financial GPS starts with financial education. The building blocks of systematic wealth building, that's really how you achieve your goals. Once you understand core financial concepts, you can set your GPS and hit the road. So statistically, just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean it makes you wealthy, because it all depends on how we manage our money. There's a statistic that over 70% of people who win the lottery lose it within 7 years, right? So each one of you are business owners with highly classified skills, and running your business has its own unique challenges, most of which aren't taught in traditional schooling. So what are the challenges that we all face as a business owner? Even when I went to UC Riverside and took up my bachelor's in finance and marketing, there wasn't one class on how to manage your money, right? They taught us how to manage people, right? They taught us admin, but they didn't teach us how to really grow and protect our money, which is what we're going to be covering today. So what are some of your challenges? Number one, inconsistent income, especially now, right? It depends on how the marketplace is looking. And right now we're in a disarray in our economy, right? Understanding how taxes affect your income at the end of the year, which is huge. Tax strategy means more money in your pocket, which means more money you can invest, means more money that you build your wealth upon. Not having an emergency fund or not having an adequate emergency fund. We tell our clients to have at least 6 times your monthly expenses in an emergency fund, which we're going to cover in a little bit. Paying off school debt. This is a huge one. Whether you go to public school or private school for college, maybe your master's or doctorate in whatever field it may be, school debt is over $1.5 trillion. It's larger than car loans and credit cards today, which is actually one reason why millennials and generations to come have a hard time moving forward. It's really hard to qualify for a loan to purchase a home, to buy a new car, when you're straddling on basically a mortgage. You have a school debt on your back already. Not beginning your career as a business owner in any formation, picking the right entity, not having traditional benefits like health insurance, life insurance, dental, or 401k. And again, bringing us all back to basic financial education. There's no one really in the workplace teaching us these things. And that's why we feel very blessed and fortunate to be with you guys today. We do a survey. There's a national survey, actually, that takes into account 100 Americans at age 65. So at age 29 of them are going to unfortunately pass away and expire. 63 are going to be poor at the poverty line. 3 are still working, right? 4 of them are going to be well off, and then 1 is going to be wealthy, right? So our goal is to help you guys achieve your financial projections earlier than expected. Where I sit down with a lot of clients and we ask them, well, what age do you want to retire? Well, say, I don't know, 65. Well, 65 is the age that they say today, but that's not taking into account inflation. That's not taking into account if Social Security is going to be there when we retire. So we want to make sure that we're having those assets get built upon today so that we can enjoy retirement and a better lifestyle and quality of life now. Clement Stone, very wealthy business owner, said, if you cannot save money, the seeds of greatness are not within you. And this happens a lot when we're talking about income inflation, which is to say when we make more money, when we're getting that promotion, wherever it may be, we start to spend more. So we never really feel the effects of having more money and helping build our wealth because we immediately think of using it, right? But there's a saying, right? I think we're going to pull it up later on. Americans like to spend tomorrow's money, which means we like to live on debt, right? The Chinese, I'm not Chinese, but they say they like to save. And the Native Americans, they say they plan 7 generations ahead, right? And so Americans have a really hard time with debt because we like to spend it before we have it. But understanding the principles of saving and saving in the correct vehicles really goes a long way. So how do you create a budget and a plan for your expenses? Number one is setting goals for yourself, right? Zig Ziglar said, if you don't if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time, right? You wouldn't run a business without a budget, so why would you run your life without one? So you have to track your income and expenses for the last 3 months, and expenses can either be fixed or variable. Why do we say 3 months? Because you may have a low month of spending last month, but the month before that could have been really high, so you want to get the average. Your income can be fixed and variable, right? A lot of our business owners that are our clients, they run businesses, so it's not a fixed income. There are high months or low months. As you said, an emergency fund, 6 to 12 months worth of expenses in a liquid savings account. So what is an emergency fund, right? An emergency fund is there for unexpected medical bills. If you have car repairs that come out of nowhere, if work or income just isn't consistent, or if you get laid off or fired, or whatever it may be, or furloughed, and there's no money there, that's what your emergency fund is there for. So let's say your monthly expenses are $4,000 a month, right? That's a $24,000, $24,000 a month emergency fund put away. And so where do we like to put these emergency funds? We don't keep it hard cash under the mattress. We prefer, a lot of our business owners, we like using online savings accounts because they're able to pay you higher interest. We have accounts with like Ally, Capital One has a really good one. They're paying 1.5 up to 2%, right? Which is about 10 times the national average. If you're looking at big banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they're paying you 0.01%. And so these online banks are able to pay you higher percentages because it's all online. You have to keep that liquid, right? So goals are to get out of debt, buy a house, launch a business, save for a wedding, buy equipment for your business, build out a recording studio, whatever it may be, and then ultimately retire at the age that you want to retire on your terms, right? Not saying, well, I don't have enough money, I hope Social Security is going to be there. Making sure that you can take care of yourself. Oh, sure. Online banks. One good one that is still competitive is Ally Bank, ALLY, Ally. And then one that I'm really fond of right now is Capital One. It's called the Capital One 360. They have a savings account. It's called a high yield savings account. I believe right now they're paying 1.6%. And then you could also attach a free checking account. So they're both free. You could actually attach a Zelle account to the checking account, because normally if you transfer money to a savings account, it takes a while. So let's say you get paid and it goes into your Bank of America business account or personal checking account. You could use Zelle to transfer money from your Bank of America account to your Capital One account. So it's instant. And then from your checking account, you put it right into your savings. So you have that free flowing back and forth. So Joe says he's Ally Online Savings and a money market. Awesome. So you're already on the way. So what is the fixed expenses? Expenses that don't change on a month-to-month basis, like your rent or your mortgage, there's a very low chance of that changing. Your car payment and your phone bill, those are all fixed expenses that you're going to track those as a fixed expense. Variable expenses. What are some of our variable expenses? Eating out, how many times we want to eat out for the week. If you're going out to bars, entertainment, buying new clothes, these are all things we can control. Variable for the most, fixed for the most part, we can't really control those. They're all fixed. Variable, we have the human tendency to be able to change those. A pro tip that we love, a book that we recommend is The Richest Man in Babylon. And most people save whatever is left over at the end of the month. This can often be a recipe of failure. But The Richest Man in Babylon, it's a classic financial money book. It teaches you to pay yourself first, right? So what does that mean? A lot of people say, well, you know, at the end of the month, I have $400, I have $1,000, that's $1,500 left over. That's what I'm going to put into my savings. And sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes I only have $200 a month. So you're right there. So what the book teaches you to do is to pay yourself first at the beginning of the month and then budget your month accordingly, which will then force you to make better lifestyle decisions. We talked about lifestyle inflation earlier, which is to say when you make more money, a lot of people spend more money, right? So if you have, here's a good example. You have someone who makes $100,000 a year, but they're spending $90,000 a year, right? Or you have someone who makes $70,000 a year, but they're only spending $40,000 a year, right? Who's able to build wealth faster? It's probably going to be the person who makes $70,000 a year because he has less expenses and he has a $30,000 cushion for him to save and invest in. So avoiding lifestyle inflation. There's a lot of great tools for you guys to use and free apps that I'd love for you guys to look into. Number one is Mint. A lot of you may have heard of Mint. They have an online app on your computer and one on your phone. And it's a great free application that one tracks your credit score. You could even put, if you own a residence, you could actually put your address and it'll actually put in your kind of fair market value based on Zillow or Redfin. And you could actually input your logins for your bank accounts. So it'll track your spending. So it'll actually give you somewhat like a profit loss kind of on the personal side every month. Personal finance kind of does the same thing. And this one gives you your net worth, your daily net worth, which is basically your assets minus your liabilities. And this is something we're going to cover, which I really want you guys to take heed on, is your credit score. It's not one of those things you could kind of just let you pass it by and build it up later on, because sometimes it's very challenging. We're working with a client right now. She has a 612 credit score, but she makes great income. She makes $90,000 a year in the medical field. But it's hard for her to apply for financing for whatever it may be. She has a really high loan rate for her car payment. In the future, if she wants to buy a house, it's going to be difficult. So keeping track of your credit score. Credit Karma is a great resource. Is there a minimum? Moana says their minimum for those savings accounts. There's no minimum. I believe at most it'll be a $50 minimum. So most of them are $1 minimum. And is there a fee? There's no fee to open up. A lot of them are free. They're called high yield savings accounts. Taxes. I want to preface that I am not a CPA, so please work with your tax professional. But we do have CPAs on staff for you to work with if you're looking for tax strategy. Get the proper tax advice from a qualified expert that understands your business. This is key. Unfortunately, using online tax tools, trying to do your taxes yourself, or just going to H&R Block where they don't really understand your business, you may be losing out on thousands of dollars that could be going to your pocket. Itemizing correctly, making the right proper tax deductions are super key. Understand what you can and can't write off, because you don't want to get audited at the same time, right? They say tax evasion is illegal. It's illegal, but tax strategy is purely legal. Using the tax code to your advantage. As you said, tax savings equals more money in your pocket. How do you keep more of your hard-earned dollars in your pocket so you could save and invest with? I said understanding what you can and can't write off. So mileage, meals, marketing, instruments, and equipment. Understanding what an IRA is. So an IRA stands for individual retirement account. It's between $5,500 to $6,500 that you could put away. I don't know. I think the deadline might have just passed, or they might have pushed it. I'll look into that for you guys. But let's say you're just at the threshold for making too much money. You don't want to pay those taxes to the government. You could actually put away $5,500 to $6,500 in an IRA. It'll be a tax write-off for you, and then you could choose your investments. We have a plethora of investments for you guys to choose from. So again, it's a tax write-off for you, and then you could invest it and keep it for yourself. As your career progresses, our team can help you incorporate into the correct business entity. So a lot of people may be working as a sole proprietor, but you want to look into going into the correct corporation, right? So you can become S Corp, LLC, C Corp. You can even have hybrid corporations like an LLC taxes an S Corp or an LLC taxes C Corp, depending on how your business model works. You want to be in the correct type of corporation. Number one, it provides huge tax benefits, right? Protection and liability, and it gives you that aura of professionalism when you're giving your business card and you're dealing with other businesses. You're coming in as a corporation yourself. The Kennedy family has a saying. They say, own nothing, control everything, right? And what does that mean? If you have high-end music equipment or business equipment and you have all that under your name, knock on wood, if you were to get sued and it's all under your name, they can have access and sue you for all your assets, including your real estate property, your cars, your musical instrument, your studio equipment, whatever it may be, they have access to that. But if it's tucked away in a corporation and it's done correctly, you have that veil of protection. So they can sue you and you can say, well, I don't have any assets. They're all inside of my business, right? So protection and liability provides tax benefits. You get to put yourself on payroll, pay yourself a fair wage, because income tax is the highest tax in our country, right? So minimize those taxes and then let the business buy what you need, right? It could be formed as a tax write-off, and then you could also bonus yourself. And as I said, professionalism. So really utilize tax laws to your advantage. It's something that we can't change. It's not in our control. What we can do is utilize the tax law so it works for us. And as I said, our CPAs, one of our CPAs, a few of them actually sit on the Supreme Court of Orange County. And so they defend all of our financial plans that we put together, and they can definitely help you in building a tax strategy for your business. I've read there are usually a minimum amount you need to put into an IRA in order for you to open one account. Would you recommend any companies that don't require high amounts to open IRA? Definitely. We personally work with IRAs, so we could definitely talk about that in maybe a breakout room or a session. But off the top of my head, like a Charles Schwab account, it's a no-fee IRA, and then you could pick what type of investment you want to dive into. An IRA is just a platform for you to put money into. We could even do self-direct IRAs, which you could invest in real estate. You can invest in notes. You can invest in mutual funds. You can invest in stocks, fixed index annuities. So there's a myriad of things that you can invest in inside an IRA. Charles Schwab is one of them that you can do off the top of your head, and I'd love to talk to you more about that. This is a big one, eliminating debt. So the difference between good debt and bad debt. Let's start with bad debt. Bad debt is one that a lot of us are familiar with. It's one of the key financial vehicles that banks give out for them to make money. So what's bad debt? Bad debt costs you money, simply put. Bad debt is like a credit card that you hold the balance on, that you don't pay off every month. You have a car loan, it's not making any money, that's bad debt, right? It's money that's costing you on a monthly and annual basis. What's good debt? Good debt makes you money, right? So let's say you secure a $50,000 $50,000 business loan, right? And you get that at 3%, right? Or 4%. And you take that $50,000 and you build out your music studio and you're able to rent it out to musicians. And you've seen on your ROI on the money that you've invested, you're able to make, let's say, 8% on your money. So if you take 8 minus 3, the money that you took the loan out, that's a 5% spread on the money you made. That would be considered a good debt because you're able to take that money, invest it, and make more money on it. Same goes for a rental property. If I borrow $300,000 to buy an apartment building in Chicago, right? And I'm able to, let's say the mortgage on that loan, let's say is $2,000 a month, but I'm able to make $4,000 a month through rent on that apartment building. Let's say it's a fourplex. And I get $1,000 per unit. $4,000 minus $2,000, I have $2,000 a month in positive cash flow. That's $24,000 a year. That would be considered a good debt, right? So we want to really, as much as possible, eliminate bad debt, right? Including student loans, and then buy as much good debt as possible, right? If you're comfortable with leverage. And eliminating debt is a big part of what we do here. We have clients that are getting out of debt. They were projected to do it, on track to do it for 3 years. We were able to do it in a year and a half. So half the time that you would have thought to get out of student loans, credit card debt, car loans, we can help you get out of debt even faster. We utilize debt vehicles like PLOCs, which is a personal line of credit, HELOC, home equity line of credit, or even a BLOC business line of credit, for you to get out of debt even faster. And then when you're out of debt, you have this huge lump sum of money that you can use for your business, right? Let's say you have a $30,000 line of credit, acts like a credit card, but it's liquid. You can then use that to fund your business after you've gotten out of debt. But to bring it back down to the basics, there are two ways to get out of debt, which is, let's start with a debt snowball method, which is the preferred way to doing it. The debt snowball method basically says, if you have, let's say we have 3 credit cards, one for $5,000, another one for $2,000, and another one for $1,000. The snowball method says, pay off the lowest balance first, which is to say, pay your minimum balance on all your other accounts and pay all of the money that you saved by paying minimum, and focus on your smallest debt, which would be the $1,000. Once you've chunked it down and eliminated your $1,000 balance, you take all those funds and you apply to the next smallest debt, which is $2,000. And once you're done with that debt, you take all those funds and then you have the $5,000 and you pay that one off. And so psychologically, that's the one that has the most success for people, because you have wins, you have milestones. You say, I already paid one off, I'm not going to use that one, and I'm going to pay off the corresponding debts. The other one is the avalanche method, which is to say, pay off the one with the highest interest rate. Mathematically, it makes the most sense, but you may feel like you're not making any progress. The debt snowball method will really help you feel like you're getting wins. One of the best ways to get out of bad debt, credit card debt, rule number 1 is to stop using them. And that seems pretty simple enough, but I had a client that was had a couple credit cards going on and said, you know what, I've been trying to get out of my credit card debt for a while now, but I just can't seem to do it. And I said, well, are you still using them? He said, yeah, I still use them to make purchases. Well, that's your biggest problem. You can't pay it off if you're still using them. So you have to stop using the credit cards if possible, live on cash, and pay off that debt down. The only way I recommend using credit cards is if you're paying it off on a monthly or even a weekly basis, so you don't hold a balance, you're not getting charged extra, so you get those points, travel points and your cash back. Or 2, you're building your credit. because you still need to build credit history, right? Utilizing balance transfers. This is one that we're very fond of. If you guys have credit cards that are, 20%, 22% interest rates, 18% interest rates, and you hold a balance on them, look into the Citibank. I want to say it's a Diamond Preferred. It's by Citibank. And you could have 18 to up to 20 months of 0% interest. So you'd be able to take, let's say you have a $5,000 balance with Bank of America, you'd be able to do a balance transfer over to Citibank, and it's a nominal fee. Virtual currency, Yoshida. So I think you're talking about cryptocurrency. I'll be honest with you, I invested in cryptocurrency in the past. I used to have a small portfolio. I sold a lot of it off. The number one thing I could say is it's very volatile. And so when you're investing in currencies like that, rule number one is only invest what you're comfortable losing, right? It can't be your emergency fund where you say, okay, I hope this is going to grow, put it in there. And when it tanks by 20% or gains 20%, you have to be able to manage those emotions. Because investing is a logical approach. It's not emotional, right? If you're emotional, you're going to make bad investing decisions. So whatever you're comfortable with investing, wherever you see the upside, I would say, which we're going to cover in just a little bit, only invest in things you understand, right? So if you do choose to go cryptocurrency route, make sure you do your research on that specific currency, on that specific altcoin, whatever it may be. Understand what that investment is, right? And what that investment stands for. Why? Because it opens the door for more funding for your business, funding for equipment, studio time, for travel, whatever it may be. Getting out of bad debt shows to lenders that you're credit worthy. And when they see that you're credit worthy, it shows that they can give you more money, giving you more access to money. And it's all understanding the idea of leverage, right? What do we leverage today? You guys leveraged education, a great education over at Berklee so that you can go further in your career, so you can further master your craft. When you purchase a home, unless you're buying it all cash, you're leveraging a mortgage, right? So this is all getting the best deal on leverage by getting out of bad debt, having the best credit score you can. Debt and taxes. Bad debt and taxes are the thieves of wealth. So we kind of covered that already. The avalanche method, paying the highest interest rate first. The snowball method, which we prefer. And if you need help on this, one thing I recommend is one thing I've done for the past 4 years now. If you guys use Google Suite, open up a Google Sheet and list down all your bad debts. If you want to do credit cards, student loans, I would do credit cards in its own section, and you would go the bank, you go balance amount, and then you'd go interest rate, and then when it's due, what the minimum payment is, and really knock it down and be intentional about getting out of debt, right? And then you'd be able to see on a monthly basis and zero in how much you're going down by using simple things like Google Sheets, which is Excel online, basically. I know I say it a lot, but I can't stress it enough. Your credit is as good as gold. Credit worthiness allows you to have more financial flexibility. The cheapest money rates when you buy a house, car, and business equipment. And it's never too early to start building your credit. I can't stress that enough. Whether you're getting loans for your business, whether you're getting a mortgage for your home, whether you're getting an interest rate for your car, like it can have a drastic effect on your monthly payment. That those savings could be thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in your lifetime, even more when we're talking about a house. So really take care of your credit score. Shooting in the high 700s, even creeping into the 800s would be a really, really good goal. So as we build this wealth, we want to make sure that we're protecting it at the same time. So these are some of the building blocks of wealth, of protection. One, we focus on a lot for our clients are living benefits, so income protection. The number one reason for bankruptcy in the US are medical bills. And so you get hit, knock on wood, with an unexpected medical bill, you can't work, and then you have bills to pay. That's what really causes you to spin out of control and file for BK or bankruptcy. So we're going to cover income protection in just a little bit. Health insurance, having the right coverage that fits your budget. Dental insurance, and then of course liability insurance. If you have a band and you're working at a venue and something happens to your equipment, or someone gets injured around your area, or you have a studio and someone gets injured in your studio, what insurance coverage is really going to cover you when you need it the most? You do not want to have to pay for those things out of pocket. So our network of professionals were able to help you with all of these types of coverages. So one thing we're going to shed light upon right now are living benefits. When we talk about investments, when we talk about financial planning, one of the key cornerstones of your business is life insurance. It's often overlooked. Traditionally, life insurance is for when you die. But right now, life insurance has really evolved. It's life insurance you don't have to die to use. So you don't have to die to use it. If you have a terminal illness, you can access, the doctor says you have 24 months or less to live. You can access up to 100% of the death benefit today while you're still alive. So if you have a $500,000 life insurance policy and the doctor says you have 2 years or less to live, you can actually access $500,000 today. Chronic illness, if you can't perform 2 out of the 6 activities of daily living, you can't eat by yourself, can't go to the restroom by yourself, you can use it on a monthly basis. And over 70% of Americans are going to need chronic illness care one day, like long-term care. But the most important for the people on our workshop today are going to be critical illness, critical injury. And why do I say that? These are the most common. Heart attack, cancer, stroke, ALS, blindness, major organ transplant, and then critical injury. We're all in California. A lot of us are in California, but we drive a lot. What if you get into a car accident? You're covered for coma, paralysis, severe burn, traumatic brain injury. So we ask our clients, what is your biggest asset? Right? I feel so strong about what we do is because, on a very personal note, my father passed away 7 years ago this month. It was 12 days after my 22nd birthday. And so at the end of April, his death anniversary is coming up. And so I remember I was a senior at UC Riverside, and he was only 49 years old. And we find out it's stage 4. And, ask God, like, why us? They take out the middle of his right lung, and he's cancer-free for 4 years. Fast forward 4 years, I'm a senior at UC Riverside, and we find out it's stage 4. It spreads from his lungs to his spine up into his brain, and was the most difficult time for me and my family. I pulled away from school. My mom and my sister both pulled away from work, but there were so many things flying at us. We had gas, water, electric, phone bill, mortgage, you name it. But unfortunately, he didn't have something like this. So we don't ever want to see a family go through what we went through. So we always ask our clients that we work with, and even people that we come across, what would you say your biggest asset is? And a lot of people are going to say, my house, my car, right? But above all of that, your biggest asset is yourself. It's your ability to earn income. It's your ability to specialize in what you do. But what would happen if you got sick or you got injured and you couldn't work anymore, right? And you couldn't use your voice for work, or you couldn't play that instrument, or you couldn't be that sound engineer, or whatever it may be, and you couldn't do that because you got sick or you got injured. Where would your income come from? And who relies on your income? It's you, probably your family members. So that's why you need to have a plan B. And by far, one of the best income protection plans on the market is what we offer. And we'd love to help you guys work with your budget. So a keystone and the cornerstone of your financial plan. So we're going to cover investing. Number one about investing is education. As your career progresses, invest in assets you understand. We provide financial education workshops to further your knowledge, and be in control of your investments and invest in things you like and are comfortable with. Don't just hand them to a financial advisor. So one is, again, do your homework on investments that you like and understand. So you know the inner working. So there are no big surprises to see like, oh, what happened to this investment? I thought so and so. You want to be prepared for those kind of things. And you also don't want to just hand it off and say, oh, I don't know, just talk to my money guy. He's handling all of it, right? It's a big pitfall. Some of the key things that we offer, index financial products, they provide upside potential of the market with downside protection. So it guarantees that you're not going to lose value on your money through a market correction or a market crash. We're actually living through one right now. Just last week, we were down 22%. Right now, the S&P 500 is actually down 15%. And if you have an iPhone or if you have an Android, if you swipe left, not really investing like per se, but you could take a look at your S&P bar. And so like in a 3-month average, you'll see how much we're down by. But through our index financial products, you have a guaranteed of your principal. It'll never go down. But if the market goes up, it'll go up as well. One key thing that we also help our clients with is investing in real estate. One, they're all turnkey properties, which is to say all the properties that we help our clients secure, they've already been rehabbed. So new flooring, new roof, new appliances, new paint. We already have property managers in place. The properties are returning between 8 and 4%. We have one property that's actually returning 22% when you factor in how much the client has put in. This is huge. If you have a problem with W-2 income and making too much money and paying too many taxes, we utilize real estate to provide substantial tax benefits and write-offs for you. We also help you with financing as well. So the mystique of investing in real estate is that there's so much information out there. You can go on YouTube, you could attend a workshop, there's books, audio books, podcasts. So whatever investment strategy you'd like to employ, we're here to help you on your financial journey. And that's how you achieve systematic wealth building, is putting all of the pieces of the pie together, right? From getting out of debt, which is key, utilizing tax strategy, and then investing in the right vehicles. And then off you go. So we're going to talk about index products. One of the key things that we offer are index financial vehicles. So if we take account A, it can be based on the S&P 500 return. So what is the S&P 500? It's Standard & Poor's top 500 companies in the nation. So you have like Facebook, eBay, Google, Amazon, Netflix, the biggest companies in our nation. When they do well, our money goes up. When they do bad, our money goes down. So if we invested in the S&P 1999, let's say you had a 401k or a stock brokerage account, you got 18.5%. So that year you got $18,000. 18.5. The next 3 years, the market dipped. Right? What happened in these 3 years? The dot-com bubble burst. What else happened September 11? Right? Came back strong. The most important year being 2008. You would have lost up to 37% of your money, if you guys remember. 2008 was the market correction. Was the housing market collapse through the Nina loan. You had they're basically the wild, wild west. If you worked at McDonald's, you could buy 2 to 3 houses at a time, and it didn't really matter because it was stated income. When they realized they couldn't pay these loans back, boom, we hit a collapse, 37%. This account ended with $192,000. We're currently minus 15%, and we're just about halfway through the year. So it's going to be known as the coronavirus year, right? It's a global economic crisis because there's no businesses flowing. And then I want you guys to also think about how long is it going to take for us to trade with countries again, right? So we're seeing the effect on a global scale. Account B is what we specialize in, which is indexing. So let's say if the market goes up 18%, we have a cap of 12, go up 12. When the market goes down by that much in the next 3 years, we don't lose anything. The most important year being 2008. When they lost all that money, we didn't lose anything. We had protection of principal. So this account ended with $353,000, right? So out of these two, which would we rather have? Account B most of the time. So I'm not saying a 401k is bad. It's a great addition to your portfolio as long as your workplace is matching you, but don't let it be your only horse in the race for retirement. And that's what we're big on, making sure you have different buckets as you grow in your career, right? We understand Social Security may not be there because it's severely underfunded now, but we want to make sure we have our own assets, assets to rely on. So let's take two people. We put Laura. We have Laura. She put $20,000 in her bank account at a 1% interest rate. Year 10, $22,000 in year 50. She'll have 32. But we have Mark puts away $20,000 in an index fund, compounding at 8%. Year 10, she'll have double $40,000, but year 50, $938. So that goes to show the effect of putting your money in the right vehicles. This is why this 1%, we want to make sure that's, if it's $20,000, whatever that monthly emergency fund is, that's what you're going to have in your savings account. When anything up and above your emergency fund, we want to make sure that's in an investment vehicle, at the very least, beating inflation. We have inflation in our country between 3 and 4%, right? And what is inflation? Sorry, Moana asked, is it ever too late to invest in an index fund? Would it make sense for people over 65 to get into it? Asking for my parents. No, it's not too late to invest in an index fund. We have a lot of our clients are actually in the retirement years. They have a portfolio for whatever it may be. Maybe they have an old 401k that they retired with. We help them secure investments that are really built for income. Oh, definitely, they're not too old. But going back to this, making sure your emergency fund is in a savings account. And then I was talking about inflation. If inflation is between 3 and 4% in our country today, I want you guys to ask yourselves, when you first started driving, how much was a gallon of gas? Or how much was the cheapest gas you remember when you were a child riding in your parents' car? Personally, I remember 99 cents a gallon to $1.20 in about year 2000. I remember it dipped really low. I think gas is about to go down right now too, because no one's driving. But how much is a gallon of gas today? Depending on where you guys live, if you guys live in Texas, probably a lot cheaper. But in California, we're looking at about $2.90 to about $3.60. So 9 cents to $3.60. How about movie tickets? How much were movie tickets before? I remember $5 to $7 movie tickets. I asked our crowd this a lot. Some people say $2. So I don't remember it being that cheap. Maybe it was back in the day. But how much are movie tickets today? You're looking at $14, $16, right? Groceries, same thing. The cost of living is going to go up while the buying power of the dollar is going down. So that's inflation. If we're getting 1% in the bank and we're getting 3 to 4% on inflation, are we beating inflation or inflation's beating us? Inflation's beating us, right? They say inflation is a tax on your savings account. So if you have all your money in a savings account, inflation's going to eat it up, right? We want to make sure that we understand the difference between saving and investing. So putting it in the right vehicles. 3 golden rules, if you want to keep it basic to really building your wealth. Number 1 is minimize expenses as much as possible, right? Number 2, maximizing your income. And 3, invest what you save. One of the most key financial, I guess, nuggets of wisdom and knowledge that I've been taught is I have a business partner, very successful guy. His name is Paul. Awesome business owner. He owns multiple businesses. Me and my fiance are currently saving for our wedding. And I remember, we want to have this great wedding, want to invite our family and friends. We definitely got to save. And I told him kind of what kind of wedding we wanted. And he looked at me dead in the eye, and I'll never forget that. He said, well, Jordan, that sounds like an earning problem, not a saving problem. And I said, well, what do you mean? And he said, you could only save so much, right? Until in terms of minimizing your expenses. You still have to have your kind of basic needs. You still have to have your food, car, gas, home, you can only save so much. There's going to be a floor to how much you can save, but there's no cap on how much you can earn, right? So yes, we want to minimize our expenses, but you want to be able to make sure to maximize your income, right? Which way ever that may be. Maybe it's having a side hustle, having multiple streams of income, or better utilizing your business now, minimizing your expenses, but focusing on maximizing your income. And then in turn, investing what you save. So isn't just an earning problem versus a saving problem. One of the most important things I've learned in my career. So 7 steps to building wealth and achieve financial freedom. Just to recap, create a plan and budget your expenses and create goals for yourself. Getting out of bad debt and looking towards good debt to really accelerate your growth in your business and in your wealth. Risk management through proper protection and the right insurance products for yourself personally and for your business. Building an emergency fund. Remember, take your monthly expenses and multiply it by 6 months or 12 months. 6 months is the minimum. 12 months would be great. And a liquid savings account, preferably a high yield savings account. Understand your cash flow, right? Cash flow is king. Cash flow is what comes in and what goes out, right? Understanding what your net worth is. It could be a negative net worth or a positive net worth. And how do you calculate that? You take your assets and you subtract them by your liabilities. So, for example, if I have $200,000 in a brokerage account, but I have $100,000 in student debt, you take $200,000 minus $100,000. My net worth is $100,000. Focus on increases of streams of income. So that could be, again, building a second business, investing in cash flow investments like a rental property. So if you were to focus on your music career, but you want to invest in rental properties, that's also an option. So you have monthly income coming in. And lastly, making wise investments in things you like and understand. Tax strategy is huge, right? Tax strategy and tax benefits are a business owner's secret weapon. And I'm not mincing my words there. Like, it is so key for you to understand what taxes can do for your business. A tax preparer is just going to take your numbers, crunch them, and say, all right, this is what you owe, or this is what you're going to be expecting your refund. But a tax strategist looks at your unique situation, your unique business model, and your cash flow, and makes recommendation on what you should do for tax strategy. Again, we can't change the tax law. All we can do is work with it. So make sure you're getting the most out of it. So ask yourself, do you believe you're filing correctly? Are you getting the most out of your business deductions and depreciation? And are you happy with how much taxes you're paying? So our CPAs can help with service if you are looking for anything like that. When we're talking revisiting entity formation, transitioning from sole proprietor to incorporation, most Americans are working to survive, not thrive. Most households will generate about $2 million of income over their lifespan. So if you take your career and you let's say your household, maybe it's you and your family, you'll have about $2 million over the lifespan of your career altogether. But the average 65-year-old in America only has between $60,000 and $170,000 in assets. So there's a huge gap. There's a huge disconnect there. So that just goes to show that Americans have a really hard time with savings and investing in the right place. Because we're making the income, is that we are not putting in the proper place and not taught to. So generational wealth is wealth passed down from one generation to another. This is through accumulation of assets for future to provide financial security. This one is one that is towards the later parts of your financial strategy and your plan, but it's still a part of it, is you've worked really, really hard to accumulate these assets. How do you properly pass that down to your next generation, to your kids' kids, so that your family doesn't have to start from square one and then struggle and maybe not make it, right? You could build a trust, building the right entities so that everything you worked so hard to build goes into the right hands the way you want it to. Like we said, it's called the 7-generation principle. Native Americans plan for seven generations ahead. So we're all blessed to be a part of several different types of organizations, whether it's a civic organization, maybe it's your alumni at this school. We're all blessed to be a part of an organization where you're enriching the lives of others through a positive impact, through musical education, and making sure that you can pass it on to the next generation, right? And so how can you include your financial, your alumni association in your financial plan? Because we all want to pay it forward and make sure that we're able to take care of those that are still coming on in the process, right? There's a great saying that says, we feel that the people who stand the tallest are the ones who bend over to help someone in need, right? Who bend their knee to help someone in need. And so I think it'd be great to know that once you've really built out your career, that you pay it forward and include your alumni association here at Berklee as a part of your plan. It could be whatever you want to impart, but putting that in a trust, so that your family's taken care of and all the organizations that you're passionate about are taken care of. So when we're looking at the 6 levels of financial freedom, level 1, financial solvency, your debt and living expenses equal your income. So you're basically living paycheck to paycheck, right? Your debt and living expenses equal your income. Level 2 would be financial stability. Your living expenses equal your income, and you have an emergency fund, right? Level 3 is debt freedom. Now you're free of debt, excluding a mortgage. So you're out of all of that debt and you start investing. And then level 4, financial security, your cash flow from all of your investments equal your survival expenses. Financial independence, you have 25 times your annual expenses saved, or your investment cash flow equals your living costs. So it could be either or. The latter being the easier way, because you wouldn't have all of that nest egg all in one place. And then level 6 would be financial abundance. Your investment cash flow is way more than anything you could ever want and need. So depending on what level you're shooting for, we all have a target to where we want to head to. So how can we help you? We offer free one-on-one consultations, free policy reviews. If you have existing policies, financial plans, IRAs, we can review those for you and with you. We offer free financial education workshops that we'd love to share with Donna. This is big, debt elimination consultation. The company that we work with has helped over 30,000 people get out of debt successfully, efficiently, and save thousands of dollars in interest. So whether you're getting rid of student loans, credit card debt, car loans, we help you get out of debt efficiently. Wealth building and protection, passive income generating assets, making money even when you're not working. So that could be a myriad of investment opportunities, assets, and rental properties. You tell us your goals. We sit down with you to collaborate on how we want to get to those goals systematically. You'll have an online portal. You'll have kind of a guide and a plan. Every step you'll be informed on what to do next. And it's important to note that you hold the keys of your financial plan. You're the one driving the car. We're just here to guide you. So by leveraging our financial network, you have expert advice on getting on the right track. And that's important. So when you think of, a tax strategist, someone who's helping you with insurance, who maybe might refer you out to a lender, who might refer you to a realtor, who might refer you to an attorney for any formation, who might refer you to debt elimination, they're all different parts of your plan. And most of the time, they're almost never in one network. But what we've built is a financial network for you to tap into each part of the network so that it fits with your plan. So each part of your plan is speaking to each other. it creates synergy within your plan. So whenever it goes from one part to the other, they're all on the same page already, giving you that cohesion moving forward. So wherever you are in your financial journey, we're here to help you reach your goals. So I want to open it up for Q&A. And then this is my contact information. So feel free to email me with any questions that we went over today. But I want to go ahead and open it up, Donna, for any Q&A that you guys might have.
All right. If anybody wants to raise your hand, I can go ahead and unmute you and turn on your videos if you'd like to ask in person. Otherwise, go ahead and put into the chat box, and I will just draw these to George's attention. We did have a question just coming off of the presentation. Can you explain how index funds can't lose value when their share price fluctuates with the market, including downward?
Sure. So there are different types of index funds. The index funds that we work with, they work in specific vehicles that use what are called stock options. And what a stock option is you're not fully invested in that actual stock, you have the option to purchase. And it gets a little technical. It has what's called a derivative. So let's say a derivative for a product for 2019 is between 0 and 12. If the beginning trade value and the end trade value, it goes from beginning of the year to end of the year. So let's be like January 1 to December 31st. If it falls within a specific range, so let's say it's 8%, you would receive 8%. But if it goes past 8%, let's say it goes, S&P 500 returns 14% and your cap is 12, you're only going to get 12. But let's say the S&P 500 returns negative 5%, or like in this year, we're tracking negative 15%. That stock option expires and you don't lose any money. And so that stock option is nominal. It's a fraction of the cost of an actual stock. So I know it gets a little technical, but that's how the index works. And you could actually look it up on Investopedia or something like that. A stock option gives you the option to invest in a specific indice or index. So you could do the Russell 2000, the S&P, the Hang Seng, which is the Chinese index. There are a myriad of things you can invest in, but stock options gives you the option to invest. So you don't bear the full weight of the liability or the risk.
Thank you. Our next question, actually, a couple people are chiming in, and this is something I think a lot of our community thinks about. Can you speak to investments that are ethical or sustainable? A lot of investment funds deal in industries that not everybody can kind of get behind what is happening. So can you talk about how we can maybe make choices that feel good with like our priorities?
That's a big one. Invest in something that you love and support and you feel well with. Like just making money on an investment just because it makes money, if you feel bad about it at the end of the day, it's not going to add up, right? So when we're talking about index funds, one of the most general ones that we use is an S&P 500 index vehicle. And so it's going to track the whole S&P, the top 500 companies. But there are also index funds that, like if you were to go on Charles Schwab or whatever it may be, you could choose sectors. So it could be an index based on like an ETF, it stands for electronically traded fund, for the energy sector, right? It could be the tech sector. It could be the financial services sector. So it could be like banks and financial institutions. So you could actually pick sectors of your business, of your investment, sorry. So it's important to invest in something that you do support, and you have that option, yes.
Perfect. Another question that I also have, I think one thing that's really challenging to sort of wrap our minds around when we're sort of in this position and we might have debt and we're sort of dealing with all of it at one time, what's like the first step? Is it better to focus on paying off our credit cards before we start our emergency fund? Or is it emergency fund and then credit cards and then savings account? Like what is the priority order of steps?
Sure. So we have what's called a snapshot, and our snapshot basically goes over your unique financial situation and we can make recommendations. But in our flow chart, the number one thing we actually look at is cash flow. We look at your cash flow in the terms of like if you're a W-2 employee, let's say you're a music instructor at X school or X company, we actually want to see what your taxes look like. So we want to see if we make an adjustment to your taxation. If we could get less withheld and more income in your pocket and then offset it later on, that's actually the number one thing we're going to look at is cash flow. How can we get more cash in your bucket? Then we're going to analyze debt. We want to make sure that we're attacking your debt correctly because there's a myriad of strategies, but some of the ones that we're employing have been really successful for our clients. And then we look at an emergency fund. I would say that cash flow, number one, understanding your cash flow. And then number two, it's a fine line between debt and emergency fund. I would say if you could do both, that'd be great. Because you don't want to ignore one or the two. Because you don't want to be, well, I'm debt free now, I don't have an emergency fund. But you also don't want to be fully funded in your emergency fund and your debt is out of control because you were paying minimum on all of them. So if you could utilize the debt snowball method, which is to say, attack the smallest balance first and start putting, it doesn't have to be a lot for your emergency fund. It could be 5% of your income. It could be 10% of your income. Just start putting money away in an emergency fund. You'd be in a great position.
This is kind of a little bit of a part two. When is the best time you'd recommend investing?
Sorry, what was that last part?
When's the best time you would recommend investing?
I would say invest once you hit like the 3-month mark for your emergency fund would be good. But it's hard to, I have a client right now, she's pretty liquid, but she has about $50,000 in student loans. And I just our team couldn't make the recommendation to start investing just yet because one, she wouldn't get the best deal if she were to use leverage because her credit score, and she would have too much liability on the debt side. If you want to start investing, you can start putting money away. Like it could be $100 a month. But you want to make sure that you have your debt and your emergency fund in order before you really jump into investing. So I would say getting out of debt would be a priority. But once you start seeing progress in there, then you could probably start allocating. But that is your start. The early, but then again, you always got to understand that investing the earlier the better, right? You don't want to put it off for 2-3 years. That's compound interest that could have been working for you.
While we're talking about investing, we had somebody ask about Mint. There are those apps that sort of make investing easy. What are your thoughts about like Mint and the security of apps like that?
Sure. So Mint is not so much an investment app. Like investment apps for like M1 or Robinhood. But Mint is more so like a financial tracker for yourself. And so that's a tough one about how secure it is. I personally use it. They're going to have their fine print to say that we use super secure servers. But like all things you have to take with a grain of salt. Like, unfortunately, I just watched Snowden. And so like my ideology of like who's watching us, who's tracking our stuff is kind of skewed because I feel like there's almost no security anymore, unfortunately. Like I just, I think was it the PPP program or was it Zoom? I think it was Zoom. Like we're on Zoom right now. I've been using Zoom for the past 4 years, but I think there was a data breach. I think like 500,000 people got their data breached. And so like, it's like you want to be really, really secure in how we put our personal information to the best of our knowledge. But at the same time, it just happens so often that it's hard for me to have faith in companies keeping our information safe, right? Like I have accounts with Wells Fargo and Bank of America. Wells Fargo had a huge data breach not too long ago. So it's out there. I would say do your own homework as well. But in terms of security, there's just hackers are getting really, really good. I hate to say it, and that goes with everything. It'd be with Zoom, it could be with everything. So do what's comfortable for you, of course. If you can use it, but by all means, do only with what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, thank you for that. I saw an article recently of like 9 to 11-year-olds who hacked like city websites. It just, the knowledge is so,
Yes.
the learning curve on knowledge for those of us who grew up as technology bloomed is very different for those who are growing up in it right now.
No.
We had one last question that's kind of lingering here. Not sure what the right words are, but do you work with clients on a fee basis? Is it a percentage of their income? Like, how does it work if folks want to
Sure.
partner with you?
So we have different packages. Number one, we have a snapshot. So it's a free analysis to see kind of what's available and if we can help you. So once we build out a plan, we have an engagement fee. It's normally around $750, but we make sure that that $750 investment is well worth your money. We want to make sure we're able to adjust your cash flow, that we're able to kind of do the whole financial planning, and you're going to see an increase in your income because of what we're able to adjust. So the 750, and it's a one-time investment in terms of how you build out your financial career, right? That would be to like for the tax strategy, debt elimination, and then generating wealth. That's kind of our sign-up fee, but it's something that you'll see what's possible before you even jump in. It's not like you pay 750 and then, well, we can't do anything for you, right? It's only if it makes sense. But we also do a la carte services. So like if we have clients that want to set up an IRA, if we have clients who just want to buy life insurance or other vehicles like that, we could just do it separately outside of that fee structure, and then there would be no cost. It would just be whatever you put into your plan. And then so that there would be only an upfront fee of the $750 if you wanted to do the full financial planning. Some people are comfortable with that. Some people just want to do a la carte and do the basic stuff. There'd be no fee for that. There's no percentage of income that we take. And then like unlike a financial advisor where we're advising you to put it in mutual funds and stocks where we're getting a percentage of, like, let's say it's a 0.5 to 1% spread on your investment portfolio. We don't operate that way. We make recommendations in vehicles that our clients can control. So we have vehicles that are turning between 8 and 15%. We have some that are controlling 7.5%. As much as possible, we try to mitigate the loss for our clients. Let me give you an example. If you had a financial advisor that told you to buy this mutual fund and this stock, and let's say you put $20,000 in that investment. When your money goes up by 7%, your investment advisor is going to get, let's say, 1% or 0.75%. Let's call it 1% that year. But let's say next year the market goes down and you lose 7%. That investment advisor is still going to collect the same 0.75 to 1%. So we do our best to work with our clients and put in vehicles that they can control, that the only person making money on that vehicle is you, right? And as I said, we try to mitigate risk as much as possible. If you can get the same, if not better returns than what the market's giving you and mitigate risk, why not, right?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody else have any questions? We are running to the end of our time. Oh, here we go. Can you explain how to use bank loans to finance assets and how to use assets to pay off the loan and bring in income at the same time?
Definitely. Let me reread that. How to use bank loans to finance assets and how to use assets to pay off the loan. Sure. Okay. Let's keep it simple. Like, let's say I have, I want to build a music studio, and it could be any business model. As I said, if it's it costs me $50,000 to build that studio, and I secure a business loan at, let's say, 4%, right? $50,000 times 0.04. That's $20,000 in interest divided by 12. So let's say we're paying about about $20,000 in interest, right? 4%. If I'm able to run a business and I see that my return on my investment is 8%, then I have called positive arbitrage. You have 4% of cushion, right? 4% positive interest that I'm making on that $50,000 loan. So now that let's say my loan that I have to pay back is $1,000, right? A month in terms of what I got to pay the bank back because of that $50,000 loan, rough estimate. But I'm able, through my business model, I'm able to make $2,000 from that business, from that studio time. So I would take $1,000 to pay off the loan, and I would take $1,000 for myself. That would be my positive cash flow income. And you could apply that to any industry. If I were to do it for a rental property, to buy real estate, if I were to fund any type of business, it's all about, like all things, buy low, sell high. Buy a low price, right? And then using that money, that's the important part, utilizing it in a business model where you're getting a positive ROI, positive return on investment. So you're just cycling your money, right? Almost all the people, almost all business owners that you see are using leverage to grow their business, right?
Perfect.
Hopefully that answers the question, right?
All right, everybody, we have about 9 minutes left. So if you have your last minute questions, we can squeeze those in.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate your time. I know you guys are busy, but thank you for spending time with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jordan. It looks like we are wrapping up. Folks, if you have any questions or if you have any lingering things, you can always email alumniaffairs@berklee.edu. We'll get it to the right person. Jordan, folks are asking to see your email there. It's that third square, Marion. We're going to end up sending the presentation out, as well as a little survey to get your feedback on this presentation. So look out for that in your email, but I will say goodbye to you all. Thank you again, Jordan. I found this really informative. I feel a little bit less stupid about money.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Donna. I really appreciate it. Stay safe, everybody, and take care.